For our next session, we have another exciting speaker, a startup company again out of the University of Toronto, looking at diagnostic tools for rare diseases. Today we have Katheron Inston, the CEO of Variant. Katheron is a fifth-year PhD student in pharmacology at the University of Toronto. The recent rise of rare disease diagnosis refocused her doctoral work from basic neuroscience to preclinical rare disease pharmacology. She began building a treatment decision support tool, Variant, for rare monogenetic diseases in 2020. Variant was venture-backed in January and launches in May this year. Please join me in welcoming Katheron.
Well, hi, everyone. It's great to be here in front of all of you all today. So Sonia did a good job of introducing me, but I'm also a PhD candidate in pharmacology here at U of T's Faculty of Medicine. I'm actually in the same lab as Phoebe Yan, who gave the last talk, and the GRIN1 patients were actually the folks who inspired and helped us design this platform. So we are a precision medicine app that is starting with the rare disease community. And we already have a couple of mitochondrial disease communities on our wait list. And we haven't even launched yet. So I'm confident that with time, we'll see this list of communities grow and that you'll be hearing more about us as this happens. Because the fact is that medicine is changing. It's becoming increasingly personalized, and with the decrease in costs of genetic testing and improvements in our understanding of drug mechanisms, we're seeing greater and greater stratification of patients, even with common diseases. So one of the more famous examples is the HER2 tumor test for those diagnosed with breast cancer. So if this comes back positive, we know that those patients have better outcomes when treated with pertuzumab than other chemo drugs. And a more recent example involves risk genes for Parkinson's disease, such as the GBA mutation test. And we know that patients with GBA variant Parkinson's disease have better outcomes on the drug venglustat. Indeed, a fairly recent study found that when it comes to rare variants, more than half the time they account for the entire variability in drug response. And this is an enormous endorsement for the field of pharmacogenetics, because what this tells us is that we can expect medication efficacies among people with the same genetic variants to line up a lot of the time. Which brings us to the problem of rare disease treatment. So this is a problem that encompasses 300 million people that are living with 7,000 rare diseases, a good proportion of which are mitochondrial disease patients, most of which have no standard treatment. We are aware of the state of the union of medicine, which is that we can pretty much treat or cure anything now. So why is it that 94% of people with rare diseases have no standard treatment? Is it because pharma is evil and the profit margins aren't high enough? Well, no, because the fact is that most pharma companies have a rare disease R&D pipeline, and 30 plus so odd orphan drugs are approved every year. So it's a problem of inefficiency. And what's up with the inefficiency? Now, there are costs to consider, including the fact that on average, each orphan drug approval includes failed clinical trials that come with a bill of $125 million and $41 additional million that is attributed to, fairly redundant costs. But also, in order to address rare populations in the first place and to figure out which therapies to make, the resources that are available to pharma companies are non-standard, incomplete, and unengaging to patients themselves. Not to mention that there's no standard platform from which to acquire their clinical trial participants, which they're spending an average of $3,000 to $100,000 on each to recruit each participant. So these are all really amazing, really important, but very disparate platforms. And before a drug for a rare disease is developed, patients themselves have a chaotic journey to finding effective symptom management. So typically they will figure out which medications will help them. And here we're talking about, off-label, trial and error drugs that are already available on the market. To figure out which medications are going to help them, they use one-to-one conversations that they typically have with other families at, meetups and patient conferences, or from chatting with them on Facebook. So this is also a fairly chaotic process, which is why we've built the platform that we have. So variant users upload their genetic reports to get matched to people with their same rare disease. They then let us know which medications have made their symptoms better, worse, or are just plain ineffective. We then aggregate and anonymize this information, and then we share it back with people with variants to the same gene. And so as a result, what you have is a dynamic data set for rare patients, as well as a huge pharmacogenetic database for drug companies to be able to develop new medications for rare disease patients, including mitochondrial disease patients, as well as a clinical trial pipeline directly from our engaged user base. And if you're wondering whether this is a good idea to share this information with mitochondrial disease families, the truth is that they already do this. So one of the first diseases to join our waitlist, we actually have 65 different rare diseases, and a few of them are mitochondrial diseases, but the first one to join was Alpers disease. So we polled patients' parents, have you ever had your child's medication changed as a result of a one-to-one conversation with another parent or from chatting with another rare parent on Facebook? And nearly 3/4 of them said yes. So if anything, we're adding some statistical power to that and adding some reliability to the information that they're already receiving. So just to summarize, medication efficacies often correlate well within groups of rare patients. And pharmaceutical companies often rely on very disparate resources to make strategic R&D decisions for rare patients, which leads to an inefficient drug development pipeline. Variant, our platform, allows patients to compare medication efficacies in a GDPR and HIPAA compliant way, and also attracts pharma interest for R&D. And we have 65 communities on the waitlist, including mitochondrial diseases after 1 month. And we plan for our initial launch to happen in May. So thank you so much, everyone, for your attention. And if you are a caregiver or patient with any type of mitochondrial disease, I would love to invite you to join our waitlist at www.variantapp.com, as we'll be rolling out to groups based on demand. Those of you that have questions for me, once again, I'm Katheron Inston, and I'd be happy to chat later or through LinkedIn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katheron, for that talk and giving us a little insight on how Variant, what you're doing there, all that great work. I did have a quick question on, so how are you reaching out to the community, or how are they finding you and getting involved with the platform?
So it's all word of mouth at this point. So at this point, we're having people kind of share a little bit about our platform on social media with one another. And then we see a lot of waitlist signups that happen as a result of that. So I thought, to be honest, that we were going to be a monogenetic epilepsy platform because that's my research focus. But we have mitochondrial diseases, hemophilias, dysplasias, all kinds of different disorders that have signed up. We are also going to be partnering with Mito Canada in order to have a pipeline of MELAS patients to join our platform, just to see if we can help them out a little bit more, because their medication regimens are very complicated, and we want to see if we can help simplify things for them a little.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear that you'll be more involved with Mito Canada and the mitochondrial patient community. A question for sort of just about your journey and just, starting this out of your PhD. I think it would be great for all of the trainees here today to sort of hear a little bit more on, as a third-year PhD student moving into doing your own startup, and sort of what you underwent and sort of how that was at the University of Toronto.
Right. So we actually ended up signing for the UofT entrepreneurship programs pitch competition that happens every summer. And we ended up winning it. And from there, I decided, this has been a slight side project that hasn't taken away too much from my PhD, but it seems like it's going to start taking up a lot more time. So at that point, I decided to tell my PI, Dr. Amy Ramsey, and she was extremely supportive because the truth is this isn't such a far leap from what we do in the lab. And even though the timing is not great to be losing your 5th year, almost graduating PhD student, in order to be focusing more of her time and attention on a startup, sometimes life doesn't give you the best timing. So I owe my PI a huge thanks in being supportive of me, even though the timing has not been great with like the timeline of graduation, and for believing in me and supporting me, and always being a great resource to bounce ideas off of.
That's wonderful. Great to hear. Well, we'd like to thank you again for your time today and look forward to hearing all the updates on Variant. And we'd love for you to come back, at another time and kind of give us an idea of how this is going with Mito Canada. And we'd like to learn more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Katheron.